So here we are, typical Pakistan cricket, at its best, at its worst, at its best, and then finally at its worst again. I've got Moin here with me, who is so disappointed that he's refused to go home and he's still in his office. We thought of waving the white flag, but I think we've gone with Asia Blue because it's an all blue Asia final. So, Asia Cup final. So Moin, first thoughts, another typical Pakistan performance. At least they fought till the end, but that's all they can take home.
It's so typical that it's almost laughable. I mean, this is as quintessential a Pakistani loss as you could get and I'll tell you why. It's because they fight in it's only the last 4-5 overs where they really put up a contest. And because of that, Babar Azam, everyone's like, oh, the boys gave a good fight, injuries, blah, blah, blah. And tapers over the cracks, right? And was like, oh, at least they fought. No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much wrong from the first toss,
Yeah.
all the way through that it really does need to be addressed. Unfortunately, it won't be, because we know everybody and we know the coach management, and be like, oh, but we won so many games on the trot, blah, blah, blah. And like,
I completely agree. I think in typical Pakistani fashion, a lot of issues will just be covered by the fact that it was a last ball defeat. I mean, Sri Lanka, I think they nearly did Pakistan by messing it up. They should have won it 4 or 5 overs earlier. But I mean, in a way, look, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not that disappointed. We would have been walloped by India in the final, which would have not been good for the confidence heading into the World Cup. You know, and also I think it's just good to get this wake up call. Okay, the India game, you could have said it was a one-off, but today again the fast bowling was really off pace. Okay, you can argue that Naseem and Haris weren't there, but Shaheen has been alarmingly bad, including his 2 wickets.
I don't think you can argue about Naseem and Haris. You can't, because Sri Lanka are missing their 3 frontline bowlers.
Yeah,
right.
True.
And also, we talk a lot about the fact our bowling depth, our bowling battery. Base battery, depth, bench strength, all that. All those buzzwords. Mohammad Wasim was so ordinary that he didn't even bowl half his quota, I think.
Yeah.
You had Zaman Khan, who, in fairness, did his best. He's a debutant. But he didn't do the one thing that he was in the team for, and that is bowl Yorkers at will at the death. Why bowl a slow ball as the last ball of the 50th over? Just bowl what you're best at. I'm sure we'll unpick it, but I mean, it's just like, let's go from the start, okay? Let's first talk about the absolute shambles that has come off us announcing our 11 24 hours in classic Pakistan style. It becomes a national embarrassment when Saud Shakil falls ill. You have a back spasm with Imam ul Haq, and then suddenly you have to make 2 changes to the 5 changes that you made 24 hours before. I mean, it's absolutely laughable.
It's insane. And it's a good segue into the non-dropping of Fakhar Zaman. I don't know if some guy he's so hopelessly out of form. I mean, his dismissal was atrocious. It was a decent delivery. It wasn't like 150 mile an hour, 150 kph Yorker. It was a straightish delivery. He could have easily just blocked it, or he just missed a straight one, literally. They could have easily opened with Haris if they wanted to. Haris and Shafiq, they could have opened if they really wanted. They could have played Fahim. To be honest, they could have just opened with Fahim Ashraf, and he would have done a better job than this. I don't know what was going on.
For our viewers, I mean, that is a sarcastic comment by Zazai. Doesn't actually want for him to open. He's just showing that anything is better than Fakhar Zaman opening at this point in time. I mean,
yeah, sorry. And then this whole Haris thing as well. Okay, Fakhar Zaman, I'm sick and tired of talking about him. I think he's done. This whole Haris thing again. These guys are professional cricketers. They've seen him play. His highest score in, I don't know what, 10 international games is like 30 something. In T20s, ODIs, everything combined. So he's not someone who's either you open with him and he'll give you a 20-30 start if that's what you want, fine, in the power play. Or you bat him 6 and below in the last 10 overs. Sending him at number 5, he faced 8 deliveries, nearly got out twice, and then eventually got out. So he got thrown out 3 times pretty much in 8 balls for a fantastic 3.
You have Iftikhar at 6 in form. You've got Shadab, the best player of spin in your team. You've got a left-handed option in Nawaz. All to come after. You could have picked any one of those and it would have been fine. But you pick Haris at 5, and I know why they did it, right? Let's take a step back, right? The reason they did it, the reason the order was all over the place was because this team was all over the place, right? They had these last-minute changes, and we all know Babar Azam and the coaching staff decide a plan 24 hours before, and they choose to not adjust that plan, right? We've seen it time and again. And this is a classic example. They didn't know what to do. It was last minute. And I think they wanted to bring Haris in the same way that for so many years we used to always promote Afridi from time to time, just to inject some momentum because we were just losing our way a little. But it's a highly risky strategy. This guy Haris, Pakistanis, myself included, we are obsessed with moments. Don't think Wahab Riaz in the World Cup 2015. I mean, that one spell in which he didn't even get Watson out, poor guy, but there was a drop, has catapulted his career more than he probably would have played had that not happened. Same with Haris. Those 3 4s and 1 6 against South Africa in the T20 game has just meant people think, oh, this guy is, the next big thing.
He scored 28. He scored 28. That's it.
That's it. And then we were 60 for 4 in that game, right? So it wasn't like it was all forgotten. We needed, the lower order to just bail us out.
Got a 50 there again. So
yeah, and Haris, and yet your Facebook reels will always have that Haris, those 8 balls that he played, right?
Yeah.
So we have to take a step back and say, you know what, there's something really wrong in our think tank. But speaking of bad decisions, let's talk about in my opinion, in my book, I know we may have won today also, but the worst decision, batting first. There's rain around. There's a high chance of a wet ball when you're chasing. When you're bowling second. Under lights, we saw time and again, it should get easier to bat. Okay. Now I know when Pakistan played against India, it was the complete opposite. But all these things play out in your favor when you win the toss and you decide to bowl first. That's what you should be doing, right? And if you're batting,
no, so I think it's all reactionary. If you go back, if you just count the bigger games they play in the tournament, the first game against India, they bowled decently well. The conditions were okay-ish. They got lucky. Rain. Now I genuinely believe 266 was too much for Pakistan.
Now I'm put to bed. That's okay. Right.
Anyways, so fast forward to the next game where obviously they got thrashed. Everyone was saying Pakistan should have batted first. So now he just knew in his mind, okay, no matter what happens, if I win the toss, I'm going to bat first. And that's all it is. I don't think it's judging the conditions or assessing the situation. It's just, we messed up last time, and this time I'm just going to make a different decision. That's
you can't make decisions based on the match before. That's elementary, right?
Moving on to our favorite topic. Well, so it was openers messed up. Okay, Rizwan and Iftikhar, well done. Rizwan, again, you roasted in the previous episode, and lo and behold, he's delivered.
He's clearly watching. I think the team is clearly watching our podcast. That's the only reason.
Although he should have been out way before I'm not sure if you saw, he literally just missed not a straight one, but he was out by like 5 yards stumped and the keeper dropped it. So he got lucky. And Iftikhar was out LBW and they didn't review it. So this could have been a lot worse.
This could have been a lot worse. And look, we think about Rizwan, right? I know I reference what social media warriors have been calling him, leg one, because he just plays on the leg side. Look, you will notice there are 2 types of Rizwan, right? There's a Rizwan that's so jittery at the crease and is trying to play everything on the onside. Yeah. And then there's the Rizwan that is a little more composed and trusts his offside play. And if you look at the wagon wheel, this time his shots were a lot more spread out, right? And the only thing he needs to do is just trust his ability earlier in his innings to just play his full range of strokes rather than his go-to release shot, which is always that flick on the onside. But but having said that, Rizwan did really well. He's locked his position at number 4. I think that's one position too high for Rizwan. I think Rizwan is your number 5, unless the situation is such.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's not a point wasting time on, because it's not going to change. It is what it is. Babar Azam got out to a left arm spinner, to a spinner again. Just mentioning that, I don't think we need to analyze that. It's just the fact that he has been exposed again, and it was a very, I wouldn't say embarrassing, but it was a very ugly looking dismissal the way he got out. It was beaten all ends up.
It's a classic patented dismissal of Babar Azam now.
Let's move on to our other favorite topic, Shadab Khan, who bowled all of 9 overs, although you had Nawaz, who went at an economy of under 4. You had Iftikhar, who was in the zone taking wickets. But of course, we went with Shadab, who, just because of his 1 run out and 1 decent-ish catch, is now back to full form.
Yeah, and look, I really was backing Shadab because I thought this is his chance to really prove everyone wrong. Back to the wall, he's done it before. But unfortunately, it is incredibly frustrating. The issue is not so much on his ability, it's his consistency. Every 2 balls later, he will bowl a long hop. And there was 1 over where he bowled 1 good ball and 5 horrible balls. And it's not that it's always short or it's always full. It's a mix. It'll either be full tosses, it'll either be half trackers, whatever. He was actually lucky he didn't get away as often as he should have, because the batters missed some of those balls. I mean, it is so ordinary. Actually, what happened was there was a conference in the middle between overs, and I don't know whether you saw this, and Shadab was almost like telling Babar that, trust me, I want to do the job, right? I think that's how he got the 9th over, because of he pulled his vice captaincy strings. But honestly, I mean, what really hurts me is that the 2 overthrows.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if you're the greatest fielder, if you're the next John T. Rhodes or whatever. You do not throw at the non-striker's end when the batter's in. Those 2 runs cost us the game.
Yeah. And we talk about his long-term fit in the team, whether he fits in, dropped or rested or whatever. I think regardless of his performance, those 2 overthrows are enough to drop him. They're not going to do that because he is Shadab Khan and he is undroppable. But
I'm not so sure. I think Nawaz did well. I think Nawaz did well. I think, there is a real case to be made that Nawaz gets in over Shadab. Now, I know Shadab has leg spin. Leg spin is considered, every good team has a leg spinner, all that. But you choose your best player. You choose your most informed player. So I don't think the decision to keep Shadab is automatic. But of course, in Babar's case, in a way that only Babar thinks, I think it will be. But the one thing, I don't know, I just wanted to just take a moment to just talk about the commentary. Okay. It is really frustrating when you hear those, sound bites, right? The sound bites, Shaheen Afridi does what he does best. Please. Shaheen Afridi was so ordinary. I don't care if he got 2 wickets or 2 balls. The first wicket should have gone for 6. It was the worst ball he bowled that day, right? Yeah. The sound bites that the commentators have, the all your cricket pundits write in their reports, Shaheen Afridi, you beauty. I'm like, really wasn't. The game should have been over if that went for 6.
It would have been game over. That's it. They needed 9 of 6, 9 of 8 at that point. Yeah, that was it. That was game over.
But I'm going to just ask you an unpopular question. Is Shaheen slightly overrated?
Based on
shots fired. Everyone is eating the popcorn.
Based on his last, I would say overrated. I think he's just out of form. He's over trying. I think even against Bangladesh, he only got 1 wicket. He went for more than 5 or maybe 6 in over, even in a game where they scored 190. India, we all know, and then even the 2 wickets make his figures look respectable, but he had a pretty tough start. I just think it's not about him. He has the skill, but I think in his head somewhere he just gets too overexcited. I mean, the amount of times he slides it down the leg side now, it's very like amateurish. He bowls, okay, I know it's a very difficult delivery to bowl to bring it back, but you don't have to try it every time, and you don't have to get it so bloody wrong every time you try it. I mean,
the way I think about it is, he's always searching for that magic ball ever since he got Rohit Sharma LBW in 2021. It's like 2 years ago now, right? He's always searching. And in fairness, to him, I think he's improved a bit in his thought process. For example, like I blame that loss against Australia in the semi-final of the World Cup 21. Like, I know Hassan Ali dropped that catch. I know, poor Hassan Ali. But I do think Shaheen Afridi is too good a bowler to be hit for 3 straight sixes, because he was trying those 3 balls to just get Wade out, because he could only see red. He could only just, when he was trying to bowl Yorker, and Wade would just scoop it. And that's what he's planning to do. If Shaheen had just given up trying to get a wicket and just bowl full outside off stump, it may have been a different story. But now, you see now he bowls a slow ball, the cutter well. He got Pandya out. He got Gill out. But the problem now is the thought process goes out of the window when he's under the pump. It's like you're watching a club bowler. I know that's a bit harsh, but there are moments, I mean, if you forget who's bowling, you really find the bowling a bit toothless.
Not in the skill, but in the thought process. But I think in a way that's why I think it's a blessing in disguise. I think the bowling got a bit full of themselves after the first few games against fantastic opposition like Afghanistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Back down to earth. So maybe they, it's back to the drawing board for a couple of weeks.
And one of those games, we allowed them to score an opening partnership of over 200.
Exactly.
So I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Look, I think here we are. Where do we go from here? I think that's the key question now. It's done. The Asia Cup's over. We're not going to see an India-Pakistan final. Pakistan are forever jinxed in this Asia Cup. But we have a lot bigger things to look forward to. Where does Pakistan go from here?
Look, I'm a bit confused, to be honest, and I think the Pakistan team is the same. Before this Asia Cup, I was dead sure the World Cup top 4 will be India, Pakistan, England, Australia, short. And now I'm thinking Sri Lanka with Hasaranga and everyone back, they're probably looking stronger. So I don't know. I think once you have Haris, Naseem, I think we're still good enough. I know it's a month away, but they need to think and plan what they need to do. I sometimes feel they don't even plan against specific batsmen. Fakhar has been worked out. Shadab has been worked out. Shaheen has been worked out. I don't think they approach the opposition in that way.
I agree.
So I think you just need to plan when they come up against Kuldeep Yadav on the 14th. They need to have a plan. They need to, I don't know, get Jason Roy as a coach for one day. Not that's gonna happen. That's a joke. But just find a way to plan against the opposition and just realize that you've had a bad couple of games, but you're still not that bad, and you just need some fine tuning, and you'll get there. So I still have hope.
Look, I think in a World Cup or in any match, the game is won and lost in 3 dimensions: on the pitch, in the mind, and handling nerves. These are the 3 things, right? And at the moment, fine. On the field, we probably give it a good shot, but I'll come back to that. But in the mind is often where we lose. There is brainless cricket. Like, for example, you saw how Sri Lanka were playing for the DLS, right? They knew that's what they had to do. Had Pakistan done that against India, and let's say it rained later, and it's much easier to score 180 or I don't know what they needed in 20 overs. I think they needed like
190, 188,
No, that's if the score had become in the middle, it would have been like 100. Well, it's easier than scoring the 350, right? So you just have to think on those small term targets, but it was missing, right? And I think they really need to think about alternative scenarios, right? You can't put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, this is life, right? We love cricket because it's so unpredictable. It's a great leveler. Not everything will work out as you plan. You have to have a second plan, and also Babar Azam himself needs to think on his feet. Okay, we've talked a lot about Babar, so I won't get into that. But I think the other point is, when you talk about skills, the biggest glaring skill for me, and it's been like this for the last 5 years. I thought we had improved, but clearly I was wrong. Is strike rotation. Sri Lanka were getting 8 runs and over across the middle overs, taking zero risk-free
Really.
cricket, singles,
Yeah.
doubles. For us, it's dot or four. And Shane Warne even wrote this in his autobiography. He said, I had the worst average against India and the best average against Pakistan, because Pakistan was the easiest team to bowl to, because you knew it would either be 4 or out. That's it.
Yeah.
And even to allow a bowler to settle, right? It's, for me, those are where we lose games. Yes, I know there'll be off performance there, but your batting, you can have all the shots in the world, but if you don't rotate strike like Kohli did, like all of Sri Lanka did, then you're gonna have a problem. Yeah. And of course, we talk about the middle overs, but we just have to resign ourselves to the fact that we're weak in that department, right?
In the batting, well, we thought the batting was weak, but I think the bowling is even weaker now in the middle overs. So.
Yeah, so I was referring to bowling, actually. I was referring to bowling. I changed the topic.
Yeah, no, I agree. But look, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there were some mathematical calculations also, which I guess didn't go Pakistan's way. If Nawaz didn't get out before that rain break, the target apparently would have been 255, 256. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. It was just meant to be. Pakistan would have lost regardless. So yeah, here we are. I think just to finish off, the Asia Cup is not over yet. I'm not going to go through all the predictions for the final, but just one simple prediction: India or Sri Lanka.
India. I mean, I think Kuldeep Yadav is really, really something special, right? He's in great form. I will say, though, Sri Lanka have a knack of upsetting. They upset Pakistan last year. They could do it, but I think 50 overs, I back India. It's Sri Lanka's batting for me that's a bit unstable. I think they rely on one or two people. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Pereira is pretty important. If he sticks around against Kuldeep, that'll be interesting to see. But India are strong favorites, and I think they'll win.
Yeah.
Cool.
But look, lots to think about and lots to ponder over. But let's just agree that the better team won, right? And, I guess hopefully in a month or two from now, we'll be saying, if you gave us the choice of World Cup or Asia Cup, we'd pick the World Cup. And I'm hoping this time that comes true. Last year, we came close. This year, maybe wishful thinking. Let's see. Thanks, Zaid.
All right. Thank you.
All the best.
All the best. Cheers.